All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. We are so excited to have you all here and welcome you as admitted students to the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts. My name is Jessica Houston. I'm the admissions coordinator here at Dodge. It looks like we have about 60 total participants today, and 13 have already deposited, which is awesome. I would like to congratulate you all for being admitted, and I hope that after this session, you will be even more excited to join Dodge College's elite group of storytellers. So today I am joined by 4 of my admissions assistants and tour guides from Dodge who are also current students. I'll be asking them questions, and then we will leave some time for Q&A from all of you. I really hope that this session will give you guys some more insights and a clear picture of the Dodge College experience. So let's go ahead and get started by having them introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eli Weiss. I'm a junior in the film production program here at Dodge College, and I have an emphasis in directing.
Hi, my name is Avery Gurian. I'm a junior at Dodge College, and I'm a television writing and production major.
Hi everyone, I'm Patty Martinez. I'm a junior screenwriting major and I have 2 minors in Latinx and Latin American studies and in women's studies.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Gordwin and I'm a senior public relations and advertising major with a minor in television.
Thanks, guys. So if we could each go through and tell everyone a bit about your experience at Dodge so far.
Sure thing. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a junior, so I've been here for just about 3 years now. And when I was in high school, I knew that pretty early on, film was what I wanted to study when I ended up going to college. And so I was really excited when I found out I got into Dodge. At that point, I kind of knew it was the school I wanted to be at. And so my experience over the 3 years so far has been overall really great. Obviously, every college experience has its ups and downs, but with Dodge specifically, I've really enjoyed getting to meet all of my professors and peers. There's really an amazing group of people here that makes this such a special place. And that's really important in an artistic program like the ones we have here at Dodge, because those people aren't just people you're sitting next to in class, but people that you're working with day in and day out. And so to have people who are supporting you and who you can share creative ideas with in a way that makes them better is really important to me. And having had that so much so far has been just a really great experience.
Yeah, I would say very similar to Eli. I've been here 3 years. I've just loved my experience at Dodge so far. I've gotten to write, so obviously I'm television writing production. I've gotten to write so many scripts. Right off the bat, you're launched into all these writing classes, which is really nice for me. Similar to whatever major you're going to be in, you're going to start right away with the classes that you've always been really keen on trying and being able to take. Yeah, I just feel like I'm walking away with kind of a folder of scripts that I'm really passionate and excited that I wrote. I'm also walking away with like a lot of peers around me that I really respect and think I'm going to go into the real world, and I know that they're really skilled in what they do, and I really appreciate that. So I kind of feel like I've worked my way up with a group of people at Dodge so far, and I really respect them. And I think that's really cool to see this like mini world of what it will be like in the real world, of like all these different people that I really respect.
Yeah, so broadly speaking, my experience here at Dodge and at Chapman has been really great. Like Eli and Avery, I'm also a junior, so I've been here for 3 years. And everything that Avery said about, starting with writing your freshman year is true also for screenwriting. And so I was so happy, like fall of freshman year, to already be writing all these scripts every week. And to me, my favorite part about Dodge is those roundtable writing room settings as a screenwriter. One of my favorite things, like on a tour, is to stop by that writing room and have everyone on the tour be able to see that we all sit in, a circle, going over our scripts, reading our work out loud. And I think one of the most beneficial parts of my program has been being able to get feedback, not only from all of my professors, but more importantly from my peers, because like everyone has said so far, like our peers are the people that we're going to be working with, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, for the rest of our lives. So that's been a really great part of the experience for me.
Yeah, I'm a senior, so I'm very sad to be leaving Chapman, but I also feel very prepared, which I'm glad at. In high school, I was really obsessed with movie trailers, so I wanted to work in the entertainment marketing world. And Chapman has one of the few programs where the public relations and advertising major is within the film school. And it's been super awesome. I've had a lot of entertainment marketing classes, some movie advertising classes. I've gotten some great hands-on experience where I partnered with the film students and created a whole campaign for them. So I've really loved how Dodge has been a place where different majors really work together. It's not like you're stuck with your one group. And that's helped me a ton with grabbing internships and other sort of jobs because I feel like I was able to branch and learn in more than one aspect of the film industry than my own, which is something I'm very glad Dodge did.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I know each of you kind of touched on this, but could you all talk about what it's like collaborating with people in your program, outside of your program, things like that?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. So, as a film production student, collaboration is really core to everything that I'm doing here at Dodge. And I can give a couple examples of that that have really stuck out to me so far in the 3 years that I've been here. So, one of them is going to actually be sort of things that have happened outside of anything required for class, but just with the peers that I've met in my program. Is we were wanting to just make more short films during our time here at Dodge. And so we actually, me and a buddy of mine got together and started a club called Short Club, where every month we make a short film, each of us, and then we invited other people to join. So everyone in the club makes their own short film every month. And then, we are able to work off of each other to collaborate, being different positions on everyone's projects. And then at the end of the month, we screen all of those at Dodge, and we have like a little event where we are able to give feedback and critique and really use each other as tools to further our own goals and keep learning. So that's one great example, I think. And then sort of more in class, we have a lot of different productions that happen while we're at Dodge, and so through the different classes you take, you're able to meet a lot of people and are sort of forced to collaborate with people that you don't necessarily seek out, but then you end up making really great connections with those people. So my freshman year in my first film class, visual storytelling, I was partnered with a kid who I didn't know at all. But then throughout that project, we made a film together that year, and we were both really happy with it. And now we work together on every single one of our projects, and he's become a really key collaborator to everything I do, and sort of I've become the same for him. So that's just another great example of how those small connections you make, even in your first year here at Dodge, really go on to outlast your time at the college.
Awesome, thank you. So, Eli, just a follow-up question, since you are a film production, could you talk a bit about the competitiveness? Because I know a lot of people going into the program think that it's really competitive. Do you feel that way with your classmates and just being on set and things like that?
Yeah, so when I was looking at film schools, that was something I had heard, sort of looking at a lot of the film schools sort of that are out there at this higher level. And one thing that really stuck out to me about Dodge when I came and toured and then was able to spend some time with some students there was that that didn't really seem to be anything that was talked about or any sort of issue at Dodge. And actually the opposite seemed to be really true, that Dodge was a lot more focused on cultivating this culture of collaboration, and that's something I've found to be very true. I think everyone at Dodge realizes from day one that the way to succeed in this industry isn't by seeing the people around you as competition or as barriers, but as people who are really there to make your work better and bolster your creative vision. And I think that is really key to the culture that we have here at Dodge. And if you're a student who's interested in going here and that's sort of how you think about filmmaking, I think you'll do really well here.
Avery, could you talk a bit about your experience with collaborating?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I love everything that Eli said. I really think Dodge makes a main point to be respectful amongst each other. I think that's why we all take a bunch of classes from different majors and different types of things so that we have this rapport and respect with everybody in the school, not just the people in your major. But I'll say right off the bat, freshman year, I got to be a little production assistant on a film production thesis set. So already you're seeing that I'm not a film production major, but I got to be on one of the top senior level sets, obviously as a production assistant. But right off the bat, when you start, you'll be able to be collaborating and helping on any given set, as long as you're tenacious enough to go find those opportunities. And there's so many of them. People are constantly looking for people to be on their sets. So really you can take up those opportunities whenever you want. And then I'd also say, like, flash forward to like 3 weeks ago, I'm a TWP major, but I got cast in like a junior level film and I got to act in that. So it's kind of like you can be collaborative amongst your major, like in a lot of television writing classes. Like Patty was mentioning, it is this round table and we're constantly pitching on each other's ideas, especially for television. You know, like, does this plot line work? Does this character, is it being developed in the correct way? Can you see the longevity for the season? We're all helping each other. It's mainly like student to student and the professors, you know, facilitating it all. So you're already collaborating in your major classes. And then beyond that, you're going to be collaborating in whatever respect you want beyond that, whether it's acting in a film or being on sets for other things. You know, maybe you wake up one morning and you decide you're really, really keen on learning how to set up lights and stuff like that. You can find the opportunity to do that even if you're a television writing major, which I think is really cool about Dodge, that you can get in on these sets.
Great, thank you. Patty?
Yeah, so with screenwriting, it can seem like a lot more of a solitary, I guess, craft, especially when it comes to like writing our features and stuff. It can be so intensive, just like with one person. But there are tons of opportunities to collaborate with other majors, other screenwriters, like Avery was saying, like there's tons of opportunities to go on set. So I also, my freshman year in the fall, was on a couple sets, and I would highly encourage any, you know, aspiring screenwriter or screenwriting major to get on set because it is so important to see what the heck is even happening in production. But there's also a lot of opportunities, you know, as a writer, if you do want to write one of those films that Eli was talking about. There's the sophomore year film, junior year film, and senior year film. That's an opportunity if you do make those connections with your peers. And there's also lots of opportunities to collaborate with your, you know, other screenwriting friends or peers. So, you know, I've had times where outside of class, you know, I'll bring a script to a friend and have them read it, give me notes outside of that classroom setting. And it's super helpful. So whatever, I mean, the opportunities are there, even as a screenwriter, even if you feel like, you know, it's just me with my laptop in my room writing all these scripts, there's tons of opportunities to collaborate. And if you do want to, like, let's say you have a writing partner or you know, find a writing partner in one of your peers, that's definitely something that a lot of professors would be okay with. I know there's different classmates of mine that have done that throughout my years here at Dodge.
Awesome, thank you. Kennedy?
Yeah, right away, freshman year, I joined our National Student Advertising Competition team, or as we call it, NSAC, and it was a really great program because you get a real corporate client. Like we had Wiener Schnitzel and Ocean Spray, and you spend the whole year building their campaigns. And what I loved about our advertising team was that it wasn't just public relations and advertising students. We had students from all parts of Dodge because you really need it in order to build a really great advertising campaign because of all of our aspects. Like we had a creative producing student because we have to shoot commercials. So we want someone who's really great at organizing all parts of that. We had a television writing and production student because we have to have copywriting and they're really good at writing and she's really comedic and that helped us. And then we have a film production student because we need to physically shoot the campaign and we have to have someone who knows how to get extras. They have to know their angles, the lighting, how to find the spots. So that was really important to have a really collaborative group. And I just love that because in the real world of advertising, you're not just going to have a bunch of advertisers creating your campaigns, your commercials, your posters. You're going to have a whole crew of people. And that's what Dodge has really built up.
Thanks, guys. So my next question is, have you guys had any internships? And if so, how has Dodge helped you get those internships?
Yeah, so I had one internship between the summer between my freshman and sophomore year. I interned for an ad agency in their office out in Long Beach, and I was doing assistant editing work. So it was a full-time internship, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. So I would go in every day, and I would just help editing on different ad projects they had going on. And so I did that all summer, and it was a really great opportunity for a couple of reasons. One was obviously just getting that experience of sort of what it's like to work in a real office, working full time. I learned a lot sort of about what I want out of a job, and sort of the type of job I would like when I end up entering the workforce. Also getting to work on a lot of really big name projects. I got to cut different ads for companies like Amazon, Subaru, Nissan. So the projects I was working on were at a really high scale, and being able to sort of see how those type of projects work was really beneficial for me sort of going forward at my time here to understand how these things are done on such a big scale out in the real world. And then outside of that internship, I've also had the chance to work just on a lot of different professional sets, both in Orange and in Los Angeles. So those are definitely shorter things, but those are certainly possibilities for students in film production and all the majors at Dodge. If you're interested, you make a lot of connections here with students who are in the years above you. They go on to graduate and are then working out in the field. And oftentimes, if you become a collaborator of theirs, they'll try to bring you on to those projects happening outside the school. And that's another great way to make connections, network, and sort of learn about how these things operate outside of the walls of a university.
Yeah, I interned the summer between my freshman and sophomore year at Funny or Die, which is Will Ferrell and Adam McKay's comedy production company, which was really, really fun. They taught me how to do script coverage, which is a really key thing to learn in terms of starting at a lower rank in the entertainment industry. I learned phones and all the things, and I got to be a writer's assistant in a couple of their rooms, which was really fun. I also, for them, interned at Adam McKay's specific production company, Gary Sanchez, which was really cool. That side did The Big Short and different movies like that. That's where I did a lot of feature coverage. And then last spring, so a year ago, I interned at the Groundlings Theater in Los Angeles, which was another really awesome opportunity where that's an improv comedy sketch theater. And I got to do just kind of a lot of ticket sales, edited a couple short sketches for them. But yeah, I think Dodge does a really good job of putting out a lot of opportunities. Once you get admitted and picked to come to Chapman, you'll add yourself to kind of this Facebook group where it's everybody who goes to Dodge and everybody who's really ever been to Dodge, and people are constantly posting internship opportunities, low-level assistant opportunities, various things like that. So there's never really a shortage of internships or things to apply to. It's just about if you see one, you want it, you have to be kind of hardworking enough to go and grab it for yourself. But if you want something, know that there's somebody who works at Dodge to help you find one. And there's also a bunch being offered to you alongside your motivation to look online and stuff like that too. And I'm interviewing for a couple for this summer, so that's exciting too.
I interned the summer between my sophomore and junior year at Little Ugly, which is a production company in East LA that was actually started by a Chapman alum. So already there are those sort of Chapman connections that definitely come into play. And at the time, the office manager was a friend of a friend. So I think that was definitely, it helped me out in being able to have someone who kind of knew my reputation. And there at Little Ugly, I was doing a lot of pitch decks. So they'd mainly do music videos and they shoot a lot of ads. And so I was helping out their various in-house directors with doing a lot of pitch decks, like I mentioned, and a lot of work in InDesign. But because the owner knew that I was a screenwriter and he had outside jobs where he needed coverage done, I was able to do a lot of script coverage for him that I was able to get paid for outside of my internship. So I guess like a piece of advice outside of, just sharing my internship experience would be to definitely like talk to the people at your internship. Like, don't be shy. Like, don't feel like you need to hide yourself in the corner, because if you talk to them and like let them know like, hey, this is what I want to be doing, or this is what I'm like trying to do once I'm out of college, like they're willing to help you like 100%. So, also the career services at Dodge have been really helpful. I think it was last semester, I sent out my resume to someone in career services and they were able to get me connected with a couple of internships. So there's definitely different ways through Dodge to be able to get those opportunities if you, like Avery said, have that drive to follow through.
Okay. And then for me, sophomore year, I just really wanted an entertainment internship on my resume. So I went up to my television professor and asked him if he knew of anything. And he connected me with someone, and I was able to work at a movie production company on the Universal Studios lot. So it was fun to walk around the lot, and there were other interns too that I still keep up with till this day. So that was a great networking opportunity. And then my junior year, I studied abroad in Prague, and we have a chair at Dodge who's Czech. He's from Prague, and he asked if I was interested in interning while I was abroad. And he said he had a friend who worked at a studio over there in marketing, so he connected me with him, and I was able to intern at one of the largest movie production companies in Europe and really see how Europeans market their films in comparison to us. So that was a really awesome opportunity. And then last summer, Avery mentioned we have a Facebook page of Chapman alumni and also current Chapman students. And I was checking out the Facebook page while I was looking for internships, and an alumni posted and said, hey, I work at Sony Pictures Animation and my department is looking for interns. Here's my email. Send me your resume if you're interested. So I emailed him my resume, got the interviews, and then I landed an internship at Sony Pictures Animation, which is where I worked last summer. And then my team referred me to my internship now. So I've been working at Sony Pictures Entertainment since the fall. So by the time I graduate, it'll be at a studio for a whole year because of my Sony alumni connection, which is great.
That's awesome. Kennedy, kind of a follow-up question. How did you know when the right time was to take an internship?
I say right away. I took my first internship the summer after my freshman year, so summer going into sophomore year, because it's great to just have something on your resume. A lot of people think you should wait until your senior year, until your junior year. But by that time, so many other people have more experiences on their resume than you, and they're more likely to land that internship. So I definitely say take an internship as early as possible. And it doesn't have to be anything flashy. My first one was not flashy. No one would know the name of it, but it still was, I built great skills, and hiring people noticed that.
Awesome, thank you. Could you guys talk about what other activities you're involved in outside of your program?
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of being a film production major at Dodge, my minor is in anthropology, which is over on the main campus. So I do take some classes over there, and I'm able to sort of interact with those students, which is really nice. A lot of students choose to minor in something that's also within Dodge, which is definitely a great opportunity to sort of bolster whatever your Dodge major is. But it can also be nice to kind of have a break from all the Dodge stuff once in a while and get over to main campus and learn about other things you're interested in. But then outside of school, I'm definitely just active in creative things. Like I mentioned earlier, I make a short film every month. So that's always something I'm continually working on. I try to write a lot. I try to do a lot of other artistic things, drawing, painting, etc., just to kind of keep my creative mind working all the time. And then outside of that, I'm definitely just, trying to spend a lot of time learning about other things I'm interested in. College is this really great time where you sort of have this safety net, this bubble to really spend your time pursuing things that interest you. And so, find other things outside of film or whatever it is you're coming to Dodge to major in that you find interesting and buy or check out books about them and read those, because one thing that a professor told me early on while I was here at Dodge that I found very true is that film is sort of this thing where whatever you put in is sort of what you're going to get out. And so while it's great to watch a ton of movies, and you definitely should, and learn about film as much as you can, having a lot of knowledge about things outside of film will end up making your films better, because all that stuff is stuff that'll end up sort of spilling its way into your creative work. And so whether you're interested in learning about business or finance or cooking, whatever it is that interests you, that doesn't have to do with film, and maybe you can't necessarily get another formal education in, those are things that you can sort of spend your free time teaching yourself. And that's something that I've tried to do during my time here, and I would definitely recommend that other students do as well.
Yeah, I would just say quickly on what Eli said, that's so, so true. And I think Patty will agree, especially for writing. You have to like actually live and experience a life in order to be able to write and tell stories. So obviously, like, knowing I want to write and tell stories right off the bat, it's really important to be taking classes outside of film. So that way you're not stuck in this little bubble. It's important to like push yourself and really experience your life. Like in high school, I've always wanted to be a writer and do comedy and stuff. My parents would really push me to like go to parties in high school, which is whatever, tangent. But long story short, you just kind of need to be living your life. But yeah, I also am on Chapman's improv team, which is really awesome. We do shows like twice a month in Irvine Lecture Hall, which is a really, really big lecture hall. Usually like 200 to 400 people turn up, which is really exciting, and sit there. So definitely, if you guys come, you should come to a show and think about auditioning if you're really into comedy and performance. The same vein as performance, like I said earlier, I got to be in some student productions, which is really fun. I've been writing different scripts that I've helped like help people produce, done punch-up jokes on different scripts. I also love comedy so much that I helped co-found and am the co-editor-in-chief of like the satire paper on campus, which is really, really fun. And that's been a really collaborative opportunity to just like, we had anonymous application. So we've built this little team of people from main campus and Dodge. So I don't know, I've just been doing like improv, comedy, writing, all the types of things. And it's fill up your schedule as much as you can. I like to be busy.
So I have 2 minors outside of Dodge, so it definitely takes up a lot of my time. I declared those minors, I think, my freshman year. So, I've been working towards that. And on campus, I'm also involved in Chapman Radio. So basically, anyone who wants to do Chapman Radio can do Chapman Radio. And you basically can play music, you can do a sort of like podcast type of deal, whatever you want. And it's broadcast on chapmanradio.com, and anyone can listen. And so that's really cool. And I really enjoy music, so that's what I play. And it's nice to just have that hour once a week. When you first join Chapman Radio, you have to do once every other week. And then once you've done it for at least a semester, you can choose to do once a week or, stick with the biweekly option. But that's like a really nice outlet to just be able to make a playlist every week and play that to whoever listens, and talk about whatever's on my mind. So that's just one thing I do. And I'm also involved with a club on campus called I Am That Girl, which is a club where we get together once a week and basically just have a real and honest conversation about whatever the topic is. Outside of school, I'm a competitive powerlifter, so it is what it sounds like, and that also takes up a lot of my time. I train anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week for up to 2 hours, a training session. And that's just something that I really love to do, and is an outlet that isn't creative for me to, get out that energy, whatever. And it's something I've been doing since I was 15 years old. So yeah, I do also keep pretty busy outside of my screenwriting and film stuff.
My internship and job keep me pretty busy. But my major and minor are both in Dodge, and like Eli and Avery are saying, it's nice to leave Dodge at times. I'm in Greek life, and that's a really great place to network with people outside of the film school and to also just get involved in other areas. So I've had a position as our marketing person, and that was great because I get to manage like the social media page. You can design t-shirts, like make posters, things like that. But then when I also want to be in a position other than what's related to my major, you can do that as well. So then I was helping with recruitment this year, and that was fun because you deal with the planning and the decorating, and then you're also working with people from different chapters. So I really liked how that gave me experiences outside of film and in advertising, but then I am always able to bring it back to my work in the future from the skills I gained.
Awesome, thank you. So I know we have a lot of students on the call right now that are trying to decide if Dodge is the right place for them, if they want to come to Chapman. So could you guys talk about, out of all the schools that you applied to and considered, why did you choose Chapman and Dodge?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I sort of talked about earlier, in just looking at sort of all the top film schools, knowing that's where I wanted to be for college, Dodge really stuck out as this place that valued collaboration sort of over everything else, and that regardless of the major you were in, they were all grounded in this idea of storytelling. And that's why we have all the majors we do in Dodge, even ones like public relations and advertising, which typically might be in a different school within a university. It's in Dodge because it really is at the end of the day just another form for telling stories. And I really love telling stories in a lot of different forms. First and foremost, film, of course, and that's why it's what I'm studying. But I knew if I could be in a space where I was surrounded by other people who were also obsessed with telling stories, that not only would it make me a better filmmaker, but it would also just put me around people who I could really work off of and work with really well. I never had any formal arts education before coming to Chapman. There was no, arts programs really at my high school. I didn't come from a place where that was really a popular thing. I'm the only one from my high school who really pursued any sort of creative industry. And so coming to Chapman was really a breath of fresh air for me to be surrounded by other people who shared those interests with me. And like I mentioned earlier as well, so far it has just been really great overall to be around all the lovely people like the ones on this call, as well as all my other sort of friends and peers here. And just one other thing I kind of want to say about that while we're on the topic is obviously I'm sure for all the students watching and all the other students who have been admitted to our school and others who are trying to decide sort of where to go to college, it's obviously a really weird time to be trying to make that decision because you can't really go to any of those places and see what it would normally be like, what it's going to be like when you're a student there. But I do think that what's happening right now sort of speaks volumes about Dodge, that you have students here who are willing to take time out of our day, to just come tell you about how much we really value and love the space and the school that we go to. Because really that's what it is. None of us are getting anything extra out of being here. We just really want to let other students know and have the opportunity to learn what we find so great about our school so that we can help you hopefully make a decision that's right for you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Los Angeles, so Chapman is obviously really close, which was nice in picking a college. Close, but not too close. But in a weird way, my college selection process, I was not like, I had a school from the start that I really wanted to go to. I was kind of just applying around to these different places. And when it came to making a decision, it was very much just like a whim decision. But I could not be more happy with the decision that I made because the sense that I got about Dodge, which drew me to it, was just this friendly respectability of how people are treating each other, how it's small, and that way you get to know a lot of people and you don't kind of feel lost in the crowd, but it's still big enough to be able to meet a lot of people every day. It's all so true. And I just really, really love that I'm in a major called television writing and production, and all I want to do is be a TV writer. So I feel like that's such a luxury to be getting to be taught by people that have written for really cool TV shows and to meet different collaborators and different things like that. And as somebody who kind of went into the selection process, kind of like not necessarily ambivalent, but just kind of letting the decision take me, I couldn't be happier with the one that I made. Yeah, and I think that's just a testament to Chapman and Dodge.
So I chose Chapman and Dodge for a number of reasons. Like I've already mentioned, I was super drawn to the screenwriting program. So pretty early, I guess like sophomore year in high school. It's probably earlier for some. I was like dead set on like I want to be a screenwriter. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I was, of course, looking at all these different programs, and I was also open to doing creative writing, possibly at other universities that didn't offer a program like screenwriting. Um, and I thought that I wanted to be far from home. I'm also from LA County. And so it seemed like Chapman was somehow too close to home. And so that's why I was considering settling for creative writing over screenwriting as a senior in high school. And then once it came time to like, okay, this is serious, like I have to decide now, I realized that, I couldn't settle for something else just because another university might be farther away from home. At the time, I don't know. For me as a senior, I kind of thought, oh, I need to spread my wings, I need to fly. But I'm really glad that I made the decision I made. I went to a small elementary school, high school. It was the same school, preschool through high school. And so I found comfort in having a university that was pretty small, that is pretty small, because you're able to get a really personal connection with your professors and also the other classmates. So, like Avery, I didn't really have this dream school in mind, but I'm so happy with my decision now as a junior. I also, like I mentioned, I have the two other minors. So I was really intrigued by the women's studies minor, as well as the Latinx studies minor, which was a new addition to the school my freshman year. And so all of those things ultimately, made me really, really happy with my decision. And like I was talking about the small class size and the small overall student population, I think it's really important that you're able to make those connections with your professors, and it's what I've gotten so far.
I also, senior year, did not have a dream school, had like no idea what I was interested in for school. In my head, I thought I wanted to go to like a big school where you go tailgating, you're decked out. And then I realized I don't even like watching football, so that wasn't for me either. And I came to Chapman, and I knew it was the school for me. First of all, I just think it's very cute, and I feel really safe walking outside, which I didn't at other schools I looked into, which was a turn off for me. And I also loved how small all the class sizes were or are, because you get more of like a mentor type of relationship with your professors instead of just being a number in a classroom. That can happen at schools that are larger. All my professors not only know my name, but they know my background, my interests, my goals, and they're really wanting to help me reach them and achieve them. So I love that about Chapman. And also, like I said, I was interested in entertainment marketing, and Eli talked about this. Most schools that will be in the communication school, which is something I was not interested. I really wanted to be film focused. So I like here how all my classes are really specialized to entertainment. And I had a chance to learn different roles within that world. Yeah, I'm glad I picked it.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. So now I want to open it up to questions from our students on the call right now. So please feel free to write your questions that you may have in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer all of them today. If we cannot, we'll be keeping track of all your questions. We'll be able to email you individually and connect you with our current students to get your questions answered. So we have a question here. Eli, I'm going to ask you to take this one. How are student films getting made? Is it mostly just friends? Are there consistent crews, or is it free flowing?
Yeah, that is a great question, Colin. So the way that crewing typically works on the different student projects is as you go through the years, the projects that you're working on get bigger and bigger. So I'll sort of just give a brief overview of that. So freshman year, you're going to take the class I mentioned earlier called visual storytelling. You'll just over a semester make about 5 to 7 really small films, usually just like you and a partner, and then you'll kind of just use your other friends around the dorms and such to make those movies, just to start getting a basic understanding of visual storytelling. Then sophomore year, each student will get the chance to direct their own project. That is usually about 3 to 5 minutes, and then you'll also be paired with students to work as various key crew positions on their project. So you'll be directing your own, maybe you'll be the cinematographer for one, the editor of another. This gives you a chance to sort of work as each key role in isolation and figure out what you sort of like the most and maybe what you don't love so much about the whole process of making a film. Because by the end of sophomore year, each film production student will pick their emphasis. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I'm a directing emphasis, but there are 4 other emphases. So there is directing, sound design, editing, production design, and cinematography. So over your junior and senior year, you'll primarily focus on one emphasis, and then you'll have the chance to work as that job on different crews. So each project will sort of pull a person from each of the emphases to be those main crew positions, and then all the rest of the crewing is just done very free form. Like Avery mentioned, we have this Facebook group where people sort of post, okay, I'm shooting my senior thesis in a month, and these are the positions I sort of need filled, and then people can fill those as they want, which is really great for a couple of reasons. One is that you always get to meet and work with new people, but also, especially in your first couple of years here at Chapman, there are a plethora of opportunities to try out all the different roles that are on a film set, so you can really start to learn what you want to do.
Perfect, thank you. We have a question from Yania. I'm gonna have Kennedy take this one. It seems that while there are many internship opportunities, which is fantastic, they are somewhat limited to LA, understandably. What do people do if they don't have a car? Are there other forms of transportation?
Yeah. So I'm from Arizona, so when I came here, I was like, Californians are the craziest drivers, and I'm scared to be near them, even though I had a car. Like I said, I was interning at Universal Studios, which is in LA. We have a train station that's basically on campus. It's so close. So I would go to our train station and take that to LA Union Station, and then I would take the red line to Universal Studios. So that's a way you can get around if you need to get to LA and you don't have a car. You take the train. It's super easy, highly recommended. I took it with the car. So that's what a lot of our students do. And I've also heard of students who carpool because we are so big on internships. You definitely have a good chance of finding someone who is working where you're working, and you can work that out.
There are also definitely internships closer than Los Angeles if that's something you're looking for. There are easy ways to get to LA without a car, but the internships definitely aren't completely limited to that area, just to put that out there.
We have a screenwriting question, Patty. McKenna is wondering how difficult it is to get into classes outside of her major as a screenwriter.
It's not, I guess it's the same for all majors in terms of trying to get classes outside of your major. I saw the next question, and this kind of will also answer that. And basically the way registration works, it's based on your class standing. And so, it goes by seniority. And so if you are a freshman, it might be a little more difficult to get into a class that you might want. So it just depends. Each class has a different max level of students that they'll let in, depending on whether you had credits carry over from high school for AP or IB as a freshman. That might dictate your order in the class registration process. It really varies based on the class and based on what major that class is for. Is it a requirement for bio majors? Is it a requirement for peace studies majors? That might make it more difficult to get into the class if everyone is, required to take that class. But I don't know if that answers that question fully.
Oh, I think it does. Yeah. Eli?
Yeah, I just think one thing to note on that is that like you definitely will get into all the classes, both that you need to take and also that you want to take. It can definitely be a little more challenging as a freshman. You might get waitlisted on a couple classes freshman year, which means you have to go on the first day and ask the professor to sign you into the class, which they usually will. But personally, in the 3 years I've been here, I've been able to take every single class that I need to and want to without any issue. And I think the same is true for pretty much every student. And that's one of the benefits to coming to a small school with so many faculty members.
We have a question from Lillian for TWP. Are TWP majors able to take the visual storytelling class?
Yeah, so visual storytelling is actually a class that every single major is going to take. So your freshman year, your fall of your freshman year, everybody, no matter what major you're in, you're going to be taking visual storytelling. But the class that you're taking will be like specifically the television writing and production visual storytelling class. So ours was more geared towards building a really interesting and specific character, and then in like making a little show. So we made, I would say, like 4 episodes of like a mini web series over the course of our visual storytelling project. And our goal was like the longevity of this character, making an arc for him. While I think like Eli, you did more just like one-off film examples. But yeah, everybody's taking that class.
So we have a question from Juliet about collaborations, which was mentioned a lot. How do you guys like living learning communities? How does living with all the other Dodge students affect your experience at Chapman? Patty, do you want to take that one?
I mean, I thought it was a really nice experience. My roommate was a film production major, is a film production major. My suite mates were digital arts, and I don't know exactly what major they were in.
Sorry, could you talk about the schooling system, how everyone's like paired up with someone in a similar school for a freshman?
Right, yeah. So like I was saying, like we're all, in my experience, I lived in Moreland. We all lived in Moreland. Sorry, I'm a little confused. Okay. I know Avery and Eli also probably lived in Moreland. And so we were all in Dodge. And like I was saying, my roommate was not screenwriting, but film production. And then my suite mates one was animation and one was creative producing. And so I didn't personally, maybe someone else can speak to this, because I didn't personally like get a lot of collaboration out of like living with one another. But I feel like Eli might be able to speak to this question a little bit better.
Sure, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Chapman started doing this a few years ago and sort of noticed that everyone's GPAs went up a couple decimal points, so they've kept doing it, and that is to house people by school. So all the people in Dodge are housed in one dorm building, and then all the people from Wilkinson are in another dorm. And so your roommates won't necessarily be the same major as you, but they will be something within Dodge. Personally, I thought that was really nice because it put you around a lot of people who you were already sort of predisposed to probably have more similarities with than others. That being said, all the dorms are within like a 1 block by 1 block area. So you're only a 30-second walk to all the other dorm buildings. So you definitely still have a chance to mingle, get to know, hang out with all the other students at Chapman, which is also really important. I do think it can be a little difficult at Dodge sometimes to have a ton of friends outside of your friends at Dodge. But I think those friendships are also really important to have friends who are interested in other things while you're in college. But that being said, my roommate was also a film production major. We got along well, and it was nice to sort of have the same classes and deadlines so we could sort of check in on each other and keep track as freshman year can be a little difficult. But you're also in a dorm with people who are always creating things, whether they're writing scripts or making their projects for visual storytelling or writing TV shows, working on their ad campaigns, what have you. And so just being in this environment that feels like it's constantly bubbling with creativity was something that I really loved and found helpful my freshman year.
So we have a question from Alara for PR and ad. Is the PR and ad major focus mostly on film and entertainment, or can you mold your curriculum around having a social media / digital focus?
Yeah, so we do emphasize in entertainment because it's literally in the film school, but there are a lot of classes that are just general for advertising and public relations. So probably your freshman or sophomore year, you're going to take intro to PR, intro to advertising, so you get just the very broad overview of what they are. But then you're going to take classes like digital marketing, and so you want to do social media and digital focus. That'd be really great. They teach you about different applications that you would use if you had a company, to see how you can get more people to be aware, how to get more eyes on your post. You'll take classes like media planning and buying, which is very technical, and that's saying like how many posts, how many billboards would you buy, how many Instagram ads would you buy, things like that. So it's social as well. So to answer your question, no, not all classes are film-based. Not all of our students are interested in working in entertainment. And if you want just to learn about social media and digital, you definitely will. And it'll help you no matter what career you're going into.
Awesome, thank you. We have a question from Paige. How does declaring a minor work? When do you do that?
My minor is honors, so it's just the honors program essentially can double as your minor. And it's really easy in terms of like declaring your minor or whatever you want to do, or if you want to declare a cluster, which is kind of a smaller thing than a minor, or if you want to switch your classes or any of those things, it's really, really easy to do it. All you have to do is go to the registrar. It's this office behind the law library. It's really easy to find when you're on campus. And all you do is you go in, there's usually a really, really simple, very intuitive piece of paper that you just check the box off. Maybe you need a professor to sign off on it. And then you just turn it into the office. So the process of declaring your minor or maybe enrolling into a waitlisted class, it's all super, super simple stuff. And then in terms of when you want to go about doing that, I knew coming in that I wanted to be an honors minor, but I think really people can do it sophomore year. I had a friend who just declared her minor the summer before junior year. I'm not sure the limitations on like when you can do it until, if anybody else knows, but you have time because people come in undeclared with their major, so you're good.
And just to add on to that, almost all minors are that easy where you go to the registrar's office and apply. But for Dodge, you do have to, where you go to the registrar's office and you send in a paper. But for Dodge, you do literally have to apply. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Dodge is the only school where you do have to apply for your minors.
When you say apply, you mean like a similar application process?
Similar to when you're applying for your major.
So it's like submitting creative materials and things like that.
Yes, it's not as intense, but it's still highly selective.
So I believe it's 30 credits that you have to have before you declare a minor. So basically sophomore standing. I was able to declare my minors my freshman year, but it just depends. And like Avery was saying, the limit would be just figuring out how many credits is the minor that you want to apply for. How many credits does it involve? Is it an 18 credit minor? Is it 24 credits? And how long is that going to take me to complete? So, just to make sure that you have enough time to complete that minor by the time that you do declare it.
So we have one last question that we're going to answer. And then I want to make sure everyone knows that if we didn't get to your question, we're going to be going through all these questions and responding to you via email, which we'll be doing from dodgeadmit@chapman.edu. So if you didn't ask your question today and you want to communicate with us directly, you can do that at dodgeadmit.edu, and we'll also write that in the chat as well. So the last question is from Shelby. What has been your most memorable experience from freshman year at Chapman and/or Dodge? Does anyone have something that comes to mind?
I can go first. So one thing that Chapman does, for those of you who aren't aware, is this thing called interterm. So we're a semester school, And after the first semester of the year ends, we go on winter break for the last couple weeks of December, and then interterm is pretty much all of January, and it's this 1 month accelerated term that if you want to, you can come back to Chapman and do. You can also just stay home or travel or whatever, take an extended winter break. But it's a really great way to sort of knock some credits out of the way, maybe for a special class that's only taught over interterm, which there are a lot of interesting ones of at Dodge, or maybe get a GE out of the way that you're not super interested in, so you can kind of do it quicker. But anyway, interterm is really great, and my freshman year interterm was definitely one of the most memorable experiences of all of Chapman, really. I think that around sort of that halfway point of freshman year is when you really start to get your bearings here at Chapman and at Dodge, and sort of you have that first group of friends you make, and then you sort of make the second group of friends that really sticks throughout the rest of college. And so interterm for me was sort of making all the connections and really sort of strengthening those friendships that I've held on to now for my time so far. I live with a couple of the people who I spent a lot of that interterm with now, and we work on almost all of our projects together. So interterm was definitely a very memorable time in terms of just having a little more space around campus to be able to work on things that were really important to us. We made a couple film projects over that month, and just to sort of make those friends that I've kept for so long now.
Yeah, I'll touch on interterm. Takes me back to because the class that I took over interterm was this random one called Script Gym, where you wrote a feature over the course of that month, in conjunction to like working out. The professor was like, you have to get your mind going and your body. And I wrote like the first feature that I've ever written. So that was kind of like the most exciting feat I feel like I had so far as a writer. And honestly, like the process of writing something like that's over 100 pages was really, really thrilling, especially for me because I'm just TV and comedy. So I usually stick to like 25-page scripts. But yeah, that was a really awesome experience. And I'll also say like my best friends that I live with to this day that are like in 2 rooms down the hall, I met my freshman year, and I met them at my orientation group. They're both in my major, and it was really nice to be living with them and to meet all these people and to get really close to them. And that was a really big part of freshman year.
Mine would be winning my advertising competition team freshman year, because I was a freshman, had no idea what was going on most of the year. So it was just really fun seeing like the seniors crying about it. Our client was this weird Asian food company, so I was like, how are we going to work with this? But we did, and it was super fun. Best freshman year memory.
I would say it was like somewhat, they do this thing called Film School 101 in the dorms, and there was a senior creative producing major that was talking, and something like I just felt like drawn to her. Like I felt like, so I introduced myself to her. Basically 2 weekends later, I was helping out on her thesis, or one of the theses that she was producing. And then, just last summer, I helped her out as a PA in the Salton Sea on an independent film shoot. And when I got sent home from Italy, I reached out to her and asked, like, is there any sort of opportunities that, you can get me connected with now that I'm here, and now that I'm back in the US because of everything that's going on. And of course, everything that's going on is happening. So those opportunities have been halted for now, but I'm looking forward to in the future helping her out on the 2 features that she's going to be producing. So I think that was probably one of the most memorable connections that I made my freshman year.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on this call today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the students do as well. So please be safe. Again, we'll be responding to your questions. And thank you guys so much for being here today. Thanks, guys. Bye.